In this video, I will be ranking all the anime that I have seen from 2022. There are several anime that I haven't seen yet, such as Cyberpunk Edgerunners and Mob Psycho. So if an anime you like isn't on this list, it's because I haven't seen it yet. Now starting off with 17, it is My Isekai Life, the strongest sage in the world, or whatever it's called. This is one of the worst anime I've seen in general, not just from 2022. It wasn't that bad at the start, but episode 7 was a total joke, and that's when I dropped it. Awful animation too, as if the bland characters and the lack of a plot wasn't enough. One episode was just the main character just cutting some trees or something like that. Even for an isekai, this was stupidly generic. 16 is Skeleton Knight in Another World. I wouldn't really say this one was very bad, there just wasn't a lot that was interesting about it besides the main character being an Ainz lookalike. Everything else is typical isekai stuff, including a plot point about slave elves because why not? Number 15 is Lycoris Recoil. I know this show was liked by a good amount of people, but to me the premise was just laughable and stupid. A society that trains young orphan girls to take care of all crimes, really? One episode the show was a slice of life about them buying panties or selling cake, and the next was an action show with a plot that I didn't really understand. The dynamic between the characters was also kinda weird, and the tonal shifts made it hard to take a lot of it seriously. Oh, and don't get me started on some of the nonsense action scenes. People complain about Tokyo Revengers characters being middle schoolers, which is a valid criticism, but they have no issue with the cast of Lycoris Recoil being young girls. Chisato just felt out of place in this anime. She would have been a good character in like a rom-com or something. 14 is Rent-a-Girlfriend Season 2. I actually didn't hate this one like a lot of people did. Remember when Season 1 came out and people recognized that this was a trashy anime but still enjoyed it? What happened to that? Now people genuinely hate this show. I myself like it, at least the anime. I think the second season got a lot of extra hate due to the manga readers who are not judging it on the content itself, but rather how they currently feel about the manga. Regardless of that, I liked most of Rent-a-Girlfriend Season 2. Every week I was waiting for my weekly dose of cringe from this show, and I got it. I did end up reading the manga after this season, and yeah, things got pretty bad. But come on, what exactly were some of you expecting? The main issue I have with the manga currently is that several plot points have been dragged on for way too much, and Chizuru has continued to become more and more of a trash character. Also Ruka Best Girl. Next is Made in Abyss Season 2. This has been the weakest entry from the series so far. The biggest issue I had was that there wasn't much plot progression, at least not as much as the previous entries. The entire season is spent in this golden city introducing new characters who won't matter in the future besides maybe one. Also, some of the plot felt quite a bit confusing to me, and it was a bit hard to get invested in Faputa's character when so much of her wasn't explained. Even Reg had no idea what was going on. But anyway, as usual, production value was good, and the soundtrack as well. Number 12 is Tomodachi Game. I usually think that the Battle Royale mind game concept is pretty interesting, so I did like this show. I even ended up reading the manga after, which was great and I liked it a lot. However, I think the anime adaptation wasn't very good, especially episode 12, which was really rushed, and the art was also quite a bit weaker than the manga. I do recommend the series though, but maybe try out the manga. The main character is very interesting, pretty similar to Light from Death Note, and the plot is also engaging. Next is Bocchi the Rock. Now, I know this is not a very popular opinion, but I didn't like it as much as a lot of other people did. Now, slice of life and cute girls doing cute things is not one of my favorite genres, but I can still acknowledge that this show does a lot of things well. I think the visual gags are better than a lot of comedy anime, and were done very well in general. The art style is also pretty good, it looks cute. I do wish that they would have tried going deeper and being more serious with the social anxiety and dealing with that stuff rather than just being a silly comedy though. At number 10, it is My Hero Academia Season 6. I actually only got into My Hero Academia last year. I really had fun with the first few seasons, but later on in the series it did start to decline, particularly halfway through Season 4. Season 5 was kinda meh. Season 6 so far has been an improvement with the war arc. It feels like the villains are finally actually doing something and the stakes are higher. It's still not as good as before, but it's the best season since Season 3, at least for now. Number 9 is Gundam The Witch from Mercury. I actually only got into Gundam less than 2 months ago. My first one was the original 1979 Mobile Suit Gundam. Gundam The Witch from Mercury was my second Gundam, and I thought it was a very good introduction to Gundam AUs. I do think the world building has been pretty weak though, and some things did leave me confused. I do like Soleta and Miorine, and the mech fights were pretty good too, so it had some good action. Number 8 is My Dress Up Darling. This was a pretty good rom-com. It doesn't really do anything revolutionary, but out of all the kind of waifu bait rom-coms from this year, this was probably the best. Yeah, Marin does feel unrealistic for quite a lot of the anime, but her interactions with other characters are fun. I don't really have any major issues with this one. 7 is Call of the Night. This is lo-fi the anime. I like the vibes, aesthetic, and the color palette of this show. The atmosphere of it is very chill and relaxing, and a lot of the times it is done a lot better than so many slice of life shows. The opening and ending songs are also great. There's not much to the plot, at least initially, but it does seem like that will improve in the later seasons, and Nazuna is a pretty fun character. At 6 we have your boy Kong Ming. This show had an absolute banger of an opening. I'd even say it's an all-time great one. I've been listening to it a lot recently. I first heard the opening before watching the show, but after reading the synopsis of it I had to check it out. The cast of characters was fun, and not just Kong Ming. I liked Eiko and it was pretty easy to root for her, so she was a good main character. I did like the music used, but I feel like that one certain song was used a bit too much. Also, we didn't get to see Kong Ming being a DJ, which I thought would have been pretty fun. Number 5 is Chainsaw Man. This was like the most hyped anime ever before it came out. I actually have read the manga of this in early 2021, but honestly there were quite a few things I forgot, and in the manga with a lot of the action scenes, it was kinda hard to tell what was even going on. The production value of this anime was very high and it had some good action. No, it wasn't some revolutionary battle shonen, but it did many things well, and things will get more crazier in season 2. 4 is Summertime Rendering. This series had a really solid start. It has an intriguing plot and time travel is usually an element in anime that I'm interested in. Later on it does turn into a bit of a battle shonen, particularly in the second half, and I thought the ending was not really satisfying since it undid a lot of the stuff that happened previously. Regardless, I did like the series. It had some cool characters and good plot twists. 3 is Blue Lock. I love Kuroko no Basket, and I've been wanting to see basically a football version of that at some point, and so I was pretty excited about Blue Lock before it aired, and I gotta say it's been pretty great so far. I don't think the animation has been amazing like I think a show like this deserves, which has been a little disappointing, but not bad. It is very serious and edgy, but I like it. What I also like about it is that the structure of it is different than normal sports anime. Usually in other sports anime, the characters are just trying to make it to the nationals or win some tournament, but Blue Lock does things differently. There are different trials that the characters must go through in this Blue Lock facility, and it focuses more on the individual rather than teamwork. Overall, this is an easy recommend for sports anime fans. 2 is Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2. This was what I think will be the best part out of this 4th season of Attack on Titan. Part 3 will have an amazing start, but will end up being very disappointing because the ending of the manga was terrible. Anyway, this season had major plot twists which were not only shocking but recontextualized so much of what we knew so far about the story and the characters. The art and animation of the Rumbling was actually good, which I was glad because we've seen bad animated Titans before. And at number 1, it is Bleach, The Thousand Year Blood War. Bleach was one of my first anime back around 2008, so getting new content for it in 2022 felt a bit surreal. The premiere episode with that new number 1 song remix playing, that was awesome. Bleach has some of the best soundtracks ever, so I'm glad they brought some of those back with some remixes too. The finale was also incredible. It had some great character moments with Ichigo and Zangetsu. The tension with the invasion of the Soul Society was also very good. I will say though that the Yamamoto fight was a bit disappointing since he ended up fighting basically a fake. His Bankai was pretty cool though, but I mean, Bleach Bankais in general are pretty cool. In terms of the villains, I will say that as of right now, the Stern Ridders are not as good as the Espada were. I think the Espadas were a really good group of villains. But I mean, we'll see what happens in the future parts of this final arc. So yeah, this was a ranking of pretty much all the anime I have seen as of right now from 2022. Let me know what shows you liked and what were your favorites.